I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will the clerk please read the statement?
The meeting of the Township Council for Monday, January 8, 2018. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public and the press on January 5, 2018. It was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act.
Roll call.
Councilmember Ooms.
Here.
Councilmember Kadish.
Here.
Councilmember Van Tassel.
Here.
Councilmember Allberger.
Here.
Councilmember Murphy.
Here. Please rise to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This evening, we have Mary Ellen Visciconte present. She is actually Vernon's hometown hero. Would Mary Ellen, if you could please come up, and if Mayor Shortway has a plaque he'd like to present you.
Mary Ellen was recently recognized by Congressman Gottheimer's office for being one of our hometown heroes. So we'd like to present this plaque to you. Presented to Mary Ellen Visciconte in appreciation of your ongoing voluntary efforts serving the Vernon community, Vernon Township hereby recognizes the valuable work done improving the quality of life for all residents and honors you for receiving New Jersey's 5th Congressional District Hometown Hero Award on January 8th, 2018. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Ellen has done flowers on the median. You see flowers out front here. And also, she is one of those volunteers on those hot summer days scraping the red material off the center median on 515. And that is not an easy job, but no job is too small or too big, and Mary Ellen's willing to tackle it on behalf of this community. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Big decision.
Thank you. Next, would Councilmember Ohms please read the proclamation on cervical cancer?
Cervical Health Awareness Month. Whereas cervical cancer is a disease that strikes 12,000 American women each year, and whereas cervical cancer most often affects women in the prime of life, and whereas regular cervical cancer screening tests are effective in detecting the disease early when it can be effectively treated, and whereas cervical cancer vaccines are available that together with screening tests provide a formidable and effective means of preventing this disease. And whereas increasing awareness among patients and healthcare providers alike regarding the best use of these prevention tools is a key component is safeguarding women's health. Now, therefore, the Mayor and Council of the Township of Vernon do hereby proclaim January 2018 as Cervical Health Awareness Month and encourage all our citizens to recognize that cervical cancer is preventable and to encourage and support the women in our lives in taking charge of their health and availing themselves of the tests and vaccines that have proven so effective in preventing cervical cancer. We have the means to prevent this disease. It is incumbent on all of us to ensure we have the will to do so. January 2018, Cervical Cancer Awareness Month in Vernon Township. Signed by Harry J. Shortway, Mayor, and Jean Murphy, Council President.
Thank you. Next, we have on the agenda, we have a little bit of a change. With us tonight is Kate McNamara from Project Self-Sufficiency. Hi.
Hi. Can I bring you some folders?
Yes.
I should have done that earlier. As I was introduced, I'm Kate McNamara from Project Self-Sufficiency.
Thank you.
And I'm here to tell you a little bit about PSS and the new program that we're bringing to Vernon. So Project Self-Sufficiency, most of you are familiar with it if you've been in the county. We were founded in Sussex County in 1987, and we've grown from a closet at the community college to a shed at the VOTEC to an old police barracks, and now we have a gorgeous 4-building campus right across from the community college in Newton. Our services include case management, home visitation, computer classes, parenting classes, no-cost legal assistance, and financial management for low-income families, single mothers, and displaced homemakers. So we have 30 years of success as of this year, placing people in jobs, helping them to secure housing, and creating a brighter, more hopeful future for them and their families. And what has been the key to our success, and what we've always prided ourselves on, is being flexible and responsive to the needs of the community. With that in mind, we put together an ambitious plan and received funding from Impact 100 Garden State to take our services on the road. We believe that the simplest solution is often the best, and if people can't come to our campus in Newton, we'd like to go to them. So with our new funding, we purchased an RV. If you open your folders, that picture of the RV is actually ours. We bought it. It's pretty incredible. We're outfitting that RV as a mobile PSS to visit 9 towns on a rotating schedule, so each town once every 2 weeks. We're calling the RV at this point the new baby, and it's a 2014 Winnebago Vista with all the trimmings. Right now, we're removing the furniture inside to retrofit it as a computer lab with 6 stations, space for parenting classes, and 2 private counseling offices. There's going to be a mobile pantry for food, diapers, coats, whatever's needed. The pattern in Sussex County, as we know, is largely affluent communities with pockets of rural poverty, and our goal is to meet the needs of those pockets. The towns that we are visiting are based on federal poverty level statistics and also distance from our Newton campus, and to that end we've identified Vernon, Montague, Sussex, Hamburg, Franklin, Ogdensburg, Hopatcong, Kenville, Netcong, and Jefferson. So we are also serving Northern Morris with this. The help that we need at this point is we'd like to create a dialogue with the town to determine what the needs are, where it would be best for us to visit, when it would be best for us to visit. And for example, in my meetings with Netcong has a very vibrant food pantry at St. Michael's. And they don't really need food services. Their food needs for low-income families are met through the St. Michael's Food Pantry. And that pantry is open Fridays. So our goal is to be in Netcong on Fridays so the families who are visiting the food pantry almost definitely have other needs that they could need help with, whether it's financial management or employability or parenting. So our goal is not to duplicate any services that are happening in the town, whether it's through the municipality or through the schools or through the churches. Our job, as we see it, is to complement, strengthen, and supplement those services and build on what's going right and fill in the gaps for what might be missing. So to that end, if you have any suggestions for me in terms of who to contact, in terms of local outreach efforts or church efforts, or the best day to visit to build on other services, or what day you think might be best, I'd be so interested to hear that. And our final request is we are currently holding a naming contest for the program and the vehicle. Current leaders are the PSS Rover, the Mothership, the Transformer, which I liked, Good to Go. So if you are creative and you sit on that for a little while and you have any ideas for me, I'd love to hear them. That's all I have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Next, we have public comment. Please note, public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person on this current agenda items only. May I have a motion to open the floor to public comment?
Motion.
Is-
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there anyone from the public that,
Good evening. Doreen Edwards, Highland Lakes. I haven't been in the meetings in a while. I haven't been feeling that great. But tonight I felt it was important that I come on this cold and dreary night. I was reading some things in regards to the bills list, and I just wanted to make a couple comments about that. Brought me back to the time when Don Teolis was our former manager, and we had some issues with expenses and receipts being given in for payment, almost $14,000
Doreen?
worth of,
During, the bills list is not on the agenda, so
well,
this is agenda items only.
well,
So
I
we'd like
would
to keep.
appreciate if you could just hear me
That-
out, because
that's-
I'm sorry.
If we could get
I do
through
a lot
the
of
agenda.
community service
No.
in the area,
If
and
we
I
could
would
get through
appreciate
the
5
agenda,
minutes or
if
3
we can
minutes,
get through
however
the
minutes of your
agenda,
time.
the other public session will come up very quickly. So if you could please sit down
Well, how long
and
is
allow.
very quickly? Because actually, like I said, I'm not
Well, right
really
now,
doing good.
what we're doing, okay, is we're spending more time on this
Well,
issue than we need to.
Let me finish, and going forward,
No,
I will address
no,
that.
Doreen, please.
So anyway-
Doreen, please stop.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
I do a lot of
there-
community service for this town. I
A
put in
lot of people do a
time
lot
and
of
effort.
community service.
I feel 3 minutes of your time to just let me finish what I have
Doreen,
to say
Doreen,
would
the
be
council has set
appreciated.
up a different format, and we'd like to stick with it. So if you wouldn't mind having the respect for this council
Yeah,
and this
I
meeting.
know about respect.
Exactly.
I do know about
You're off
respect. And I'd
topic.
appreciate
Please
if
sit-
the public was given some respect.
Is there
'Cause
anyone
now,
else-
if you want to talk about something,
Is there
you
anyone
have to
else
wait
from
to
the-
the very end of the meeting before you could say that. So that actually puts a lot of people at odds that they can't stay or they can't come down because they don't want to wait all
Is
night.
there anyone else from
to
the
make a
public
comment.
that would
It's
like
not right,
to
it's not
address the
fair.
council on agenda items right now?
Let's see, what else is on the agenda?
Please, you know, what, at this point, you've gone past your 3 minutes. Please allow Krista
But I've
Geary
been
to come
down
up.
here where there was people talking for
Please
25
allow-
minutes. And,
please
you know,
allow
we
Krista
engaged them.
Geary to come up.
Okay, well, if I
Thank
can't
you.
make it another time, I do want to have 3 minutes of my time that I could talk about this issue in the bills list, because it's important that the townspeople know. It's a way
Please
of keeping
refrain.
track of the expenditures of the town. And that's very important, and I wish all the new people on the board the very best, but I want you to know, don't be afraid to speak out, okay? It's very important. You have minds of your own, and these are important things. We even had a bills
Please,
list at the
Doreen.
time, and it got through. $14,000 worth of expenses.
Thank you for your time.
That he ripped off.
Krista?
My name is Krista Gary. I live in Vernon Township. This is a letter from Mary Ellen Vicciconti. Just want to say that Mary Ellen, Bob and I are so happy that your many contributions to Vernon have finally been acknowledged. It took a long time for this to happen. Both you and your husband, Steve, have devoted many hours for the betterment of Vernon. You have always boldly spoken out on issues that you felt were of vital importance and significance to the people in this community. You have always believed that no matter what you did in life, that you could make a difference, and everyone in town has benefited from this. You are such dedicated individuals who continually give up your time to serve others. Your compassion for others and common courtesies show the true state of your hearts. You have my utmost respect, and I look up to you both as my friends and my heroes. I am so very proud of you both. Thank you for all you have done and continue to do.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the council on agenda items only?
Sally Rinker Vernon. I'm here to comment about Ordinance 1805, the Faline Building auction. But I want to just note that I think there's a wrong address on the ordinance. It says 527 Main Street. I think it's Route 515. So you might want to adjust the typo there. In regards to Ordinance 1805, I'd like to say this, especially to the two new council members. Everyone I know, including myself, wants to see property returned to the tax rolls and further developed. Best practices for return of taxpayers' money should include appraisals for assets both bought and sold. An appraisal was done in March 2017 on this property, and it came in at $296,000. While the mayor and council president Murphy insist on selling it for no less than $90,000. We paid $2,100 for an appraisal, and then the appraiser deemed the appraisal void. The business administrator stated on the record another appraisal will be done because there were issues with the first appraisal. The issue, the appraiser graded the interior of the building as fair, but after entry wanted to downgrade it to poor. All else remained the same. How much of a downgrade in value could fair to poor be? 50,000? 100,000? It can't possibly be 206,000. I can understand why the mayor doesn't relate to the negative repercussion effects of a property selling far below market value, but a realtor should have no excuse for ignorance on these efforts. So let me state my opinion and facts on this. Number one, the taxpayers deserve the highest and best return. This property was purchased by Vernon for about $424,000, and we know we're not going to get that. But let's try to get the most we can for the sake of the taxpayer. Secondly, a new appraisal was promised, and we haven't heard about it, and now the ordinance is back at the $90,000. So where is that appraisal that was promised by the business administrator on the record here at the meeting? If this property is sold for $90,000, which the mayor and council president Murphy are happy to do, every property in the town center and surrounding commercial properties drops in value accordingly. This is called a comparison sale. This is the basis for sales of other properties and taxation. So not only will this property value be reduced, it will spur winnable tax appeals by neighboring properties, whose values also drop, and that results in less tax for the township for more than one property. Another aspect of damage that occurs with property value reductions is you reduce the borrowing power of those properties to expand or renovate. This is a serious consequence for business owners when their value is reduced. And even worse, when their commercial mortgages are reviewed and up for renewal. The banks can reduce the loans accordingly so as to be in a better position in a loan-to-value ratio. And I've seen that happen. So, gentlemen, please consider, a simple vote is not so simple. This issue is but one of many you will face that requires research, input from others, and careful consideration. Please consider sending this property to auction. I think we all agree it's time to move it as best we can, but not without a fair price obtained in a valid appraisal, which makes your decision a fair and correct one for us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council? Seeing no one else coming forward, may I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we have our minutes. May I have a motion to adopt the following minutes? Executive session minutes of November 13th, the regular meeting minutes of November 13th, and the regular meeting minutes of November 27th. May I have a motion? Is there a second?
A second.
Okay. Roll call?
Councilmember Ooms,
Yes.
Councilmember Kadesh.
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel,
Abstain.
Councilmember Allberger,
Abstain.
Councilmember Murphy.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve minutes.
Next, we have the consent agenda. Resolution 1871. This places a question on the ballot for a referendum of the people to see if they would like to see open space money purposes changed. Resolutions 1872 through 1874 authorize various change orders for Maple Grange Road, resulting in a net reduction on the project. Resolution,
I think that's it.
That's it.
that was it.
Can you pull out 1871?
1871?
Yes, please.
May I have a motion to adopt resolutions 1872 through 1874?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Ooms,
Yes.
Councilmember Kadesh,
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel.
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger,
Yes.
Council President Murphy.
Yes. Okay, resolution 1871. May I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to amend 1871 to have the paragraph, shall the current use of Vernon Township's open space trust fund acquisition of farmland preservation easements and preserving open spaces, which has a balance of $963,487.38, be modified to include The authorization that the fund may also be used for stewardship projects, just as well as development and maintenance of permanently easement, preserved open space, and passive recreation township-owned properties. Yes or no?
So you're making a motion to amend
Inserted.
it?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Ooms,
Now, this is just for the amendment, not for the whole resolution, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Kadesh.
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel.
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger.
Yes.
Council President
Yes.
Harris. And I confirm with the attorney an interpretive statement regarding that question will also be included.
Yes, I've redraft, based on Mr. Kadish's motion that's carried, the interpretive statement will need to be revised to provide the second sentence going into the third line, with guidance as to the public sentiment concerning the current purposes and uses for the open space trust fund, parentheses, farmland preservation and preserving open spaces, close paren, close period. If passed by the voters, the Township Council shall consider a future referendum ordinance regarding possible additional uses, period. A yes vote will not reinstitute the open space tax levy, period.
May I have a motion to adopt?
Can we have a little discussion about this before we go to a vote?
You have a comment?
Discussion. First thing, what would be some examples of development? Development is a pretty broad term. So what would be an example of development of lands? Anybody have any ideas? I'm sure you guys have thought about this.
I would think that that would be defined with the ordinance that would be redrafted.
Yeah, but wouldn't that go to the vote so the voters would know what development really was? Because development is pretty broad. It could be build a house, develop of lands acquired for recreation. I mean, you could do anything on that land under the word development. So to me, that's vague. But the whole ordinance, when we voted on this and we contributed to this, changing this defies the intended use of the money that people were willing to contribute. So that, in my mind, it was for our future that we'd always have green space in Vernon. When I paid into that, that was my intent. We'd always have green space in Vernon. So now we're changing it, and I think that money can be used for anything the way it's written. It's
No,
not
that's not
clear.
true. If you read the change,
Well,
development and maintenance of permanently eased, preserved open space, which means there is no development in terms of housing or any further buildings that can be put on that property.
I don't know. I think it's
That's
still
what-
pretty vague there.
That's the way the easement, it's already preserved through state
So you're
funds.
saying that you're only going to use this money on open preserved land, am I correct? It's preserved,
Yes. And
and you're going to make changes.
township-owned properties.
Right. But what's the development? I mean, would this be like to fix a field in Maple Grange? Would we use the money for that? I just need examples. What's an example? How about a parking lot? Would that be acceptable use under this?
Not on preserved farmland, but certainly I would think if it were to be used for that purpose, for instance, the parking problem that we have at Appalachian Trail, if it were on open space, I would think that would be an acceptable possible development.
And maintenance? What would
Although a
maintenance?
lot of these things require a permeable surface to be used, so there's drainage on it. But
Because once this money, we use it, it's gone. That's it. That's it. It's
Well, I think
done.
it's, at this point, it's for the people to decide what they'd like to do with their money. That's all it is. It's for the public, to vote on what they want to do with the money. If anything, they can vote no. That's
Do you
fine.
think we're being fair to the public by using just
Why, by
develop-
allowing them to vote?
No, but telling them exactly what you're going to use it for, what they're voting for, because, again, I think development is a pretty broad term.
Well, would you like to amend it to have something else written in there?
Well,
What suggestions do you have?
I don't know. I don't know what your intent is on this, but, and again, I fall back to the reason why we put that money to the side. So I
The only
fall
thing
back
we've
onto
used that
as
money
well.
for the last several years is for land conservancy or for appraisals, for surveys. I mean, the money is just being squandered away on professionals with nothing. We're not getting anything for it.
Well, we'll be doing the same thing with,
That's-
depending on what kind of development
Does anybody else
gets
have any
done.
questions, any comments?
I just feel we're just changing the intended use, and once it's gone, and that was our assurance for the future for green space. So that's how I feel about it.
Well, may I have a motion to adopt Resolution 1871?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Owens,
No.
Councilmember Kadesh,
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel.
Yes.
Councilmember Wahlberger,
Yes.
Council President Murphy.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolution 1871.
Next, we have introduction of ordinances. Ordinance 1801. This authorizes Suez to provide pipes and water facilities to the village of Lake Glenwood. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1801 with a public hearing to be held on January 22nd, 2018?
Before we introduce this, I have some questions about the ordinance. May I?
Yes.
And I guess,
Well, this is, the Suez, this lake community has a private system.
I understand.
And they'd
I
like
read
to have
it's in
Suez
here,
take it
yes.
over.
But I just have I have a question.
Okay.
So I do understand why you're writing it. So this won't be at any cost to Vernon residents,
Not
correct?
that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. So let me just ask you, and I don't know the answer, why can Suez put their pipes in this area, right, in this Glenwood area, right? Because in the ordinance, it says they might lay pipes. Even though they don't need it, they may lay it. Am I correct? Am I understanding that correctly?
I don't understand your point. It's a private system.
Oh, no, I'm
They
just
want to
asking.
take it over.
Right, but in this ordinance here, it's saying it's okay to lay pipes.
Well, if they want to expand within the franchise, they have the opportunity to do that.
Okay. So when it comes to town center and you think about water, why does the town have to pay for those pipes if they're bringing water? And then this area, they don't. We don't have to pay for the pipes. They're paying for it.
It's totally two separate areas. We've already put some of the pipes in. I don't know what they did in 2008 or 10, whenever they put the pipes in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just curious why they'll pay for the pipes to be laid to bring water to this area, but when we want to bring water to town center, the town will pay for those pipes and putting the pipes down, if I understand the whole situation correctly. Am I right with that? When you talk about bringing water to town center, we'll be
You're talking
paying for
about
it?
water to town center. It's controlled by the BPU.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot take their rate users' dollars to expand a system that doesn't exist right now. Newcomers, they can't put
Oh,
that
okay.
cost on rate users. These people are already there, but in the future, they may expand. Town center, Main Street is not in their franchise.
Okay, so that's the
So
reason.
that would come before the governing body if you're going to allow them to expand their franchise.
Okay, so that would be the reason why we would have to pay for things to go in, because it's not part of their franchise.
We have
Okay.
to act as a developer to bring the water, because they have to upgrade their pumps, or the wells, upgrade their pumps, or dig another well.
Mhm.
Right now, they're producing at 400 gallons per minute. They need 600 gallons per minute. So you're going to add 200 to each one with extension of a new pump, or dig another well for 400 gallons per minute.
For them.
And then you're going to have to put a water tank in for fire suppression. That reduces the cost of building any new buildings, because the fire suppression
Oh,
system.
now you're talking about town center.
Town
Okay.
center, right. So those are the considerations that this council will later be discussing, and we'll probably have workshops on it.
No, I think we're
Are any
getting
of
off
these-
topic.
Yeah,
So I think we're
No,
getting
I
off.
was just
yeah.
asking you a question. I wasn't trying to deviate or be derogatory in any manner. I was just curious about all this, that's all.
Are any of these blocks and lots in Camp Sussex?
I don't know.
No.
I don't think they're part of the franchise there.
So these are existing systems.
The system, yeah, it's all that, the homes, like on Lakeville Road, all in there.
May I have a motion
Motion.
to introduce ordinance 1801? I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Kadesh,
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel.
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger,
Yes.
Council President Murphy.
Yes.
Motion carries to introduce ordinance 1801, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the township of Vernon, the county of Sussex, state of New Jersey, providing for the municipal consent of the township for Suez Water, New Jersey Incorporated to provide water services to the village of Lakewood, Glenwood, in the township of Vernon, and for laying the pipes and installation of other utility facilities as may be necessary. With a public hearing on January 22nd, 2018.
Next, we have ordinance 1802. This establishes the annual licensing fee for potentially dangerous dogs. Please note, a potentially dangerous dog is determined to be such through a court proceeding. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1802 with a public hearing to be held on January 22nd, 2018?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Yes.
Tassel.
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger,
Yes.
Council President Murphy.
Yes.
Motion carried to introduce ordinance 1802, an ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 148 and Chapter 250 of the Code of the Township of Vernon regarding potentially dangerous.
Ordinance 1803. This raises the fee for distribution, which is a store, and hotel liquor licenses to be the same as restaurant liquor licenses. Currently, the ABC allows for these licenses all to have a fee of $2,500 per annum. However, the township charges $1,026.43 for a restaurant, but only $885.02 for a hotel, and $426.81 for a store. This brings the hotel and store license fees in line with restaurants. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1803 with a public hearing to be held on January 22nd, 2018?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Owens,
No.
Councilmember Kadesh.
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel.
Yep.
Councilmember Allberger,
Yes.
Council President Murphy.
Yes.
Motion carries to introduce ordinance 1803, an ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, amending Chapter 250 of the Code of the Township of Vernon regarding liquor licenses. For the public hearing on January 22nd, 2018.
Ordinance 1804. The township has hired Max Span auctioneers to auction off various conforming lots. This authorizes the auction. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1804 with a public hearing to be held on January 22nd, 2018?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Kadesh.
Yes.
Van Tassel.
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger,
Yes.
Council President Murphy.
Yes.
Motion carries to introduce ordinance 1804, an ordinance authorizing the sale of certain land in Vernon Township to be sold at public auction in accordance with NJSA 48:12-13A. With a public hearing on January 22nd, 2018.
Ordinance 1805. Similar to Ordinance 1804, this authorizes the auction of the property known as the Faline Building. May I have a motion to introduce Ordinance 1805 with a public hearing to be held on January 22nd, 2018?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Owens,
No.
Councilmember Kadesh.
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel.
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger,
Yes.
Council President Murphy.
Yes.
Motion carries to introduce ordinance 1805, an ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, authorizing the sale of the property controlled by the township and not required for public purposes and more commonly known as Block 122.01, Lot 1. The public hearing on January 22nd, 2018.
Ordinance 1806. This corrects the number of members needed for a quorum for the Historic Preservation Commission. May I have a motion to introduce Ordinance 1806 with a public hearing to be held on January 22nd, 2018?
Motion.
Is there a
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Kadesh,
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel.
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger,
Yes.
Council President Murphy.
We have no second readings for ordinances. Next.
I just need to read the title of 1806.
Sure.
The motion carries to introduce 1806, an ordinance amending Chapter 5, Article 11 of 16 of the municipal code of the township of Vernon.
Thank you. Next, we have public comments on any topic limited to 3 minutes per person. May I have a motion to open up the floor to public? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the council? Please step up.
Doreen Edwards, Highland Lakes. In regards to the same matter I tried to bring forth before, the bills list. So I understand that that has been changed once again to not be done in front of the council for the council to approve it. And I'm very upset about that. As I started to say before, I think back to when Austin Carew was the mayor, and at that time we had a business administrator that was taking advantage of the town and actually went to jail because he submitted false documents and whatnot to the tune of $14,000. And at that time, if I'm not mistaken, I think we did have supposedly a implement in place to try to catch things like that. So can you imagine not even having that in place, what could possibly happen? I'm not saying it is happening, but I'm saying for the public's knowledge, it's better to have it full disclosure, that the town council be more learned on different things that are happening in town. I think it's better to have more transparency. I think at that time when Mr. Carew found out about it, he said, he quoted, what he did, Mr. Teolis, was egregious and had ramifications that went beyond the money number. It hurt our credibility immensely. And I feel the same way here. I think our credibility should be full transparency, and I don't see why you should have a problem with that. So I would like one of you brave souls to bring it back up again, think about it, listen to the public, talk to the public then, and find out what their input on is. How would you like it? If I gave you a bill and say, just pay it, you don't really need to know what it's about. You know, it's not right. There's some other things that are going on. I see more and more less transparency in this form, this present administration. That's really got me upset. And I'll just leave it at that for now. But please, think about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council?
Hi, Bonnie Rubin, Highland Lakes, and I would just like to say that I take issue with the council meetings being moved back to 7 o'clock after the change of government. They had moved from, they previously were 7 o'clock, but the administration that came in after the change of government recognized that it cuts attendance at these meetings because this is a commuter town. I know you two guys work in town, but just so you understand that most of your constituents work out of town and have to commute maybe up to an hour or several hours. I, for one, when I moved to Vernon, I worked in Morristown, and I had an hour commute each way to my job, traffic permitting and weather permitting and all that. So now, as far as I'm concerned, this council is leaving the choice up to whether someone who goes to work and works all day out of the area, comes home, decides, well, now he can't have dinner or kick back a little with his family before he has to rush out to a council meeting. You're not allowing enough time for a person to come to this council meeting in their graces and kind of listen and be attentive when you're hustling. You're really cutting the attendance at the meeting. So to me, that's an infract on transparency, and I don't think it's the proper thing to do. And like I said, even the Murata administration had the foresight to recognize that more people will attend the meetings and there'll be more public interaction if you would consider changing the meeting back. And also, the 3 minutes at the beginning of the attendance and 3 minutes at the end, and you're making the public wait to address their own issues. And some of these meetings go up to 2 hours or more. I've been at them 2.5 hours. So now you're asking seniors who maybe just can't even stay to sit here that long, or people who have to get up early in the morning. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Why don't you just let people address their own issues when they come into the meeting? Now, say if the 3 minutes at the end has so many people waiting, do you get bumped to a meeting 2 weeks from then to discuss your issue and then maybe wait to get bumped from that meeting again? So you're not really addressing public issues by doing this. You're just like circumventing everything, pushing it off to the side. Maybe you don't want attendance, but I know that you are here to represent the constituents that voted you in, and that you would want to pay homage to them and do them an honor and let them have their say and what their issues are. And you should want to hear them and not push them off and shove them to the end of the meeting. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to make a comment?
Sally Rinker, Vernon. My comments are in reference to Resolution 18-21, removing the bills list from the agenda. As I reviewed the December 11th, 2017 council meeting, I was amazed to hear the attorney refer to my name and a suit I filed as validation for him giving false information to the council and the public. The suit I filed pro se was in response to approximately $166,000 of bonuses and raises illegally given to employees by a former mayor. You say I was defeated, Mr. Zielinski, but you are wrong. The judge's 16-page opinion ruled the bonuses null and void. Remember, Jean? Not only did this case put a halt to the practice, but it prevented potentially hundreds of thousands of more dollars being given for the next 2 years. I'm proud of that case. I saved Vernon taxpayers a great deal of money. While filing, I had several curiosities. So it was an opportune time to ask for the judge's opinion on a few other things. He devoted one paragraph in the 16 pages to my bills list question. Yes, his opinion was we could not compel the council to vote on the bills. That's agreed. However, you, Mr. Zielinski, went on the record December 11th to say that the council has no authority with respect to the bills in this form of government. You also said it is absolutely unlawful under this form of government. When debated by Ms. Ohms about your statements and her insistence that other towns under the Faulkner Act do it, you then went to the excuse, but there are different forms. We're well aware of the forms, Mr. Zielinski. We've been, involved in this government for quite a number of years. I have here quite a number of New Jersey towns that are exactly Faulkner Act mayor council, exactly our form of government. I don't believe you're prepared to say they're operating illegally. Your final statement to Ms. Ohms was, it's unlawful for this council to approve a bills list. That's preposterous. Many towns, boards, and committees post their bills on the agendas for public view and voting. It is transparent and it is responsible. Once again, the Herald, in a second year in a row, published an op-ed piece, New Year's resolutions, pertaining to transparency from governments and public accommodation from your constituents. The January 7th Herald also published an op-ed piece on a more transparent county government, which probably this evening will now be headed by Freeholder Director Jonathan Rose. And he does stand for transparency, and he plans to, make some positive effects at the county level. Everyone expects it, and everyone's moving that way but Vernon. Council President Murphy once said she didn't want to be responsible for the bills.
Please wrap it up.
It was clear to see the rehearsed dog and pony show between you and Mr. Zielinski, and you expected him to assist you in your move to remove the bills list. Just say you chose to be less transparent. Stand for what you are, who you are. If our attorney really, really believes that not compelled equals illegal, we are in serious trouble here. Don't play us as fools, Mr. Zielinski. Fools we are not. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to address the council? Seeing no one else come forward, may I have a motion to close to public?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Before we go further, I just want to talk to the council. Why did we change? I mean, I voted no to
Well,
it.
excuse me, you could save that for your council comments. I'd like to go right to the mayor's report. Thank you.
No, I'm part of the council.
Yes, I
Doesn't
understand.
matter that.
But I'd like to go further to the mayor's comments. And during your council comments.
I'd like to publicly thank our public work employees, our police department, our fire department, and our volunteer rescue squads for braving the extreme elements throughout the last snowstorm, but they usually and do 24/7 over the whole course of the year. Also, a special note of appreciation to all those fuel truck drivers and repairmen who worked diligently during this deep freeze. I want to reassure residents and this council that our Department of Public Works puts its best effort, maximum effort forward. The patience displayed by the vast majority of our residents is greatly appreciated. I also understand the personal frustration a resident may feel when snowed in, especially residents of developments, cul-de-sacs, and dead ends, while the crews necessarily attend to our main roads. Our township engineer, planner, environmental commission chairman, and I met with members of the Highlands and CDM Smith regarding the revised net water availability analysis. We discussed the initial calculations and assumptions. The water deficit is decreased by 30%. However, we are still at a deficit. Based on the revised analysis, the entire Huck 14 averages a deficit of approximately 23,200 gallons per day. Mitigation goals and objectives will be formulated in the future. This was only on the draft analysis and report. A formal report will be coming, but if you want the draft, I'll gladly share it with you. Just ask and I'll send it to you all if you wish. Just so that everyone understands, a HUC is an acronym for hydraulic unit codes. Hydraulic unit codes are a way of identifying all of the watersheds. This study is being financed by an $80,000 grant provided by the Highlands Council. I also met with members of the New Jersey DOT recently to discuss the Western Scenic Byway. I supported this designation previously. It was either 2010 or 2011. It previously encompassed Route 515 from Route 23 to Route 94 to the New York border. It was later expanded during the previous administration to include Sand Hill and McPeak roads. This was done without a resolution by the governing body and community input by affected residents. I do not support this expansion because it includes municipal roads without shoulders, sidewalks to accommodate bicycle and pedestrian traffic. These streets are located in residential neighborhoods. The expansion also includes sections of roadways that are dangerous, resulting in past motor vehicle accidents. We also continue to work on the Vernon Township Economic Development Plan. You may recall this is being funded by a $45,000 grant received from the Highlands Council. Phase 1 incorporated existing conditions such as demographics, assessment of existing land use, and zoning that summarized commercial and business zones, etc., but that phase is now complete. We are moving on to Phase 2. This consists of public outreach and involvement. The GAT committee has already circulated 2 surveys via social media. A third will be circulated via social media and also pencil-to-paper surveys, so the public can come in and they can fill out these surveys. 2 town hall meetings will be planned in the future, so there's public dialogue on this, and they can also voice their opinions. We continue to proceed with the non-eminent domain redevelopment area application for the town center. We also are proceeding with a second redevelopment study, plan and application for the McAfee area that includes Legends. This will include eminent domain. Finally, I've scheduled a meeting on January 11th for our volunteer committees, commissions, and boards. It will be posted in the newspaper. The purpose is to thank the volunteers for their past and future participation, provide the goals and objectives of this administration for my remaining 2 years in office, to meet each other, to open lines of communication between these groups, schedule future meetings, and elect their respective chairpersons if needed. Members will also be sworn in for their respective positions. Thank you.
Thank you. Council comments?
May I ask a question? May I? What's the eminent domain? What do you mean by that?
There's case law in redevelopment areas for blight or non-performing properties that the government can take through due process.
So you're saying there's possibility that for these properties that the town would take over, you're saying?
There is possibilities. There'll be hearings on it. I'm not sure of the legal process, but I know it comes out of Connecticut. Unfortunately, in that, they took actually homes for a shopping center. But if there's a non-performing blight, abandoned building, et cetera, you always make and Mr. Solinsky, correct me if anything, you make an offer, you just don't take it. Agree to purchase it.
Well, Mayor, if I may briefly, before you get to that stage, there's two processes. It can be either an eminent domain redevelopment area or a non-eminent domain redevelopment area. There are statutory criteria that have to be met in order to take property as part of a redevelopment project. But before you even get to that stage, you have to determine, does the actual property meet the statutory standard to be declared in need of redevelopment or in need of rehabilitation?
And you were talking about this over in McAfee area?
The McAfee area.
Okay.
The
Okay,
town
thank you.
center, non-eminent domain.
Okay.
Again, that could change, but I'm just trying to let the council know that's what the planner
Where
and
you're
I
heading.
discussed.
Okay. Thank you.
Council comments? Councilmember Allberger? Do you have any?
Comment.
Thank you. Councilmember Van Tassel?
No comment.
Councilmember Dan Kadish? Do you have any comments?
I can't talk.
Do you need water? No.
Want me to get you-
Councilmember Ohms?
Yes. Not a comment, just a discussion. Why did we change the meeting time? Anybody?
I thought we changed the time, so, like, the subcommittees I served on last year were the Environmental Commission, the Land Use Board, the GAC, and everything was at 7 o'clock. So I just assumed we were moving it, so if somebody wanted to come to a meeting, they know that they always start at 7 o'clock.
Is that the reason it was changed?
Are you looking at me?
Yeah, anybody? I mean, I didn't change it, so why, who changed it and why?
I think we all did.
Put forward, we voted on it.
All right.
I think
Well,
you-
that was in that resolution there, and I voted no,
Yeah, that's
but
okay.
I'm asking, where did the origin come to
There's,
change it? Like, what was the reasoning?
7 o'clock is not an unreasonable time to have a council meeting. There are many council meetings being held throughout the county, including
I
the freeholder.
understand.
So it doesn't really matter. I'm not getting into a discussion with you. This is a council comment. If you'd like to have a discussion with me, pick up the phone and call me. So do you have any other
I want to
comments?
discuss it here. We're grouped
Do you have-
together here.
This is council comments. Do you
And
have a
I'm
comment?
asking why.
Do you have any comments?
No, I want to have a discussion with the council
Well, then I'll go
members.
through with my
This is
comment.
crazy.
What I'd like to
I'm
say
not
is
here
that
just to comment and
That's
go
okay.
home. We're a group, and we
And
should discuss
you
it.
can pick up the phone and you can call.
No, I wanted to discuss it as a group. This is
Discuss.
what we're
Go
here
ahead,
for.
discuss. If anybody'd like to speak to Councilmember Holmes, you may.
So I feel also we're turning in the wrong direction. This is a commuter town, just like Ms. Rubin said. Now you have people that have to rush here to get at 7 o'clock, but then they don't know how long they're going to have to stay here because now we've changed the order and now they can't talk
Well,
till
I
the
see-
end. I know many a time you move people around through the course of the day, and you move people up and back, so we really don't even stick to a schedule to begin with half the time. So I do feel that we're going backwards, and this is not accommodating to the public.
Do you have any other comments?
No, that's enough, I
The
guess.
only comment I'd like to make is that our bills list is posted on the township website. The council has always received copies of the bills list, so if anybody would like to review it, you certainly can on the website, and like I said, the council has it. Motion to adjourn?
Thank you for that.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Again.